Hello and welcome to the show. I'm Jacquelene Closemore and you're on A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV. I can see that I'm pixelated, which is always entertaining. Hopefully we get some faster internet, but as it always is with me, weird things happen, usually with technology. And I am on the 31st floor. First time back in my Melbourne office, so a very big, I'm not pixelated for you guys, but I'm pixelated for me. Yay. I'll just keep talking then. It's what I usually do in readings. If I have a moment where I'm like, how is this happening? Inside my head, of course, because out here I'm like, yes. And here I'm like, what? And then it's like, and then I'll say, well, can you relate to that? And they go, yes, actually, really can. And I go, may as well keep talking. So what I might talk about today is, when you're a new reader and you're having some doubts in a reading, check with your client. Yeah. A really good question is to say, can you relate to that? Now, what you might want to do is if they then go, yes, and here's a great big long, and they start going into the story, and you might want to very quickly say, look, I'm sorry to interrupt you. However, I just need to know that, yes, you can relate to that, or no, you can't, because I want to be able to keep giving you the information, and I certainly will let you, say more later. I just don't want to get that in the middle of the reading, because I guess the difference between intuitive counselling and a reading is with a reading, you're meant to be giving them stuff usually. Most psychics, mediums, empaths will work with, I am getting, and here it all is, and it's not you saying 5 minutes of what you want to cover and how you want it to be and what things are going on in your life, and then us reading. Now, there are a very small number of psychics that might work that way, so I'm not going to poo-hoo that. But what I am saying is that for me as a reader, and most readers I know, we want to know. So if as a client, right, you're wondering, we generally want to know as little as possible actually about you. So in the inquiry phase, when you're wanting to speak to a psychic and go, are they the person for me? It's best probably not to do what one client caller did on the phone with me one time when I was very early on in my, we might call it assertiveness training, boundary creation. And I think I was on the phone for 15 minutes in this inquiry, which is actually a bit too long, like by about 10 minutes. And at this point in the inquiry, she actually said, now, could you tell me your star sign? And I went, why? Like I already knew what she was going to say next, but it was kind of a rhetorical why. It was sort of shocked, really? Why? And she said, because I'm a said star sign, and I want to know if we're compatible. And and I sort of said, darling, I'm not that way inclined because this is a woman, and it's no problem if you are, but this isn't dating, and I am already at that time married, and I thought you were wanting to talk about booking a reading, and so you either feel drawn to me or you don't. So it's really good for you if you're looking for a reader to sort of go, do I feel comfortable with them if I'm speaking to them briefly on the phone or by text or however? Do I feel really drawn to them? Like, oh, I've got to see that particular person. Or is it sort of like, yeah, if it's yeah, then don't go. It's a bit like going on a date. It's also not feeling enthusiastic, don't go, yeah, usually. So comfortable, drawn, and do I feel I can respect them? Now, this is not a statement about whether you're a respectful person or they're a respectful person. It's not to be judged that way. What I'm talking about is, do you feel that you are going to be able to hear what they're saying and go, yeah, open to that? Or do you feel you already think they're maybe a bit of an idiot? Maybe, you don't like that they're wearing crushed velvet clothing. Or in my case, at times I'll wear a business suit, not to be businessy, but just, I don't know, I feel like that sometimes. I might dress in different ways. You just don't know what's going to happen. Gemini feels, just in case you're wondering about compatibility. Yeah. Do you feel like you can relate to them, I guess, is in part of that respect? Because if you can relate to someone, you're more likely to respect them. Now, this is not saying that you absolutely have to adore them, because that might be kind of weird. But yeah, you want to know that you can sit and listen to this person. You're not immediately agitated. And one of my students many years ago came back to class after having been at some event where I think they were modelling, and it was actually an event I had quoted for to Pure At, and they wanted much cheaper people. And so all these people were there doing readings at this modelling event, and then this was one of the models. And so I wasn't there, and she says, "Oh, and I went and saw this woman who looked like, described what she looked like, and I just knew she'd be bad. But I went ahead and had a reading with her anyway. I didn't go and stand in line with any of the others. I went to her because I knew she'd be bad and I wanted to prove it to myself." And I'm sort of sitting there going, wow, that would have been really awful. Because can you imagine someone coming to you and deciding they don't like you from the outset, and they're going to make you into the bad person, the blame person, the person who doesn't know what they're doing from the outset? That's the intention they're setting when they come to sit down with you. And what kind of energy do you think that's going to generate? I mean, it's not going to be good, is it? Yeah. So it's really important to go, I like this person. And if the thing is, what I really want to sort of push the idea of is, certainly even in my case, if I have a client turn up and they're like this, bit of that, if they don't like me and I can see they don't like me and, there's an agitation there, I'm going to smile and say, look, it's really a honour that you chose to book with me. However, I'm getting the vibe that maybe we're a bit of a mismatch here. And what I'm going to do is fully refund you and send you on your way. And I don't want you to blame me. I won't blame you. We're just not, there's no rapport here, darling. And that could be before they've said anything, It's like, and it's like, it's okay, yeah, because readings are very personal, very intimate in their nature. And you need to know that you like the person on some level, not heavily dislike them. So when my student came back and told me this story in front of the whole class, I said, and how was the reading? And she goes, I knew it'd be bad, and it was. And I go, well, of course it was. And everyone looked at me, what? And I said, because you went there with that intention. So you're already closed off. You're giving the poor psychic a massive hill to die on or climb. You just don't know. I mean, occasionally you get people that come in with that intention. They start off with that intention, I'm going to get her, and a bit of gotcha vibe. They might bring their friend along for encouragement about how this is going to be funny afterwards. And it's kind of exhausting because for the first 10 minutes, you're like, boom, 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 boom. And their friend is going, she's exactly like that. You see, she's not saying anything. She's like, oh, big nods. And this one, Captain Cranky Pants, we're going to call him, is sitting there going, yeah, completely expressionless, except for maybe a weird look that I just gave you. Stone-faced usually, and it's sort of like you're waiting for the wall to crack. Maybe if they smiled, their whole face would crack. I'm not sure, but there are lovely people out there. But when they're like this, it's sort of like, what are you doing here? It seems like a terrible waste of time. So I sort of relayed this to the student and said, I mean, in these cases where I've had that, it's kind of funny because at some point they crack, the facade cracks, and out come the tears, or out comes the, actually, you're completely correct about that. And it's like, well, well, they say, how did you know that about me? And I go, well, what did you book today? Because I seem to have forgotten just now. Was it a reading? Is this what I meant to do? Funny about that. So set your intention. Set that intention that you are going to, be open to the reading. Still have your boundaries, all this sort of thing, yeah? But if you get there and you're just not liking it, there's nothing wrong with saying, look, it's been great, or look, it's nice to have met you, I just have to leave. You can make any excuse, or you can just say, look, I don't relate. If you don't feel comfortable saying I don't relate, just say, look, I really feel I have to leave. And usually a reasonable reader will go, well, here's your money back if you've paid, or they won't charge you. Very few will go, well, you have to pay for my time. So you might want to check that out before you book. I wouldn't myself book someone who, if I got there, it got wobbly, if they were like one of these, you booked your time, that's it, you pay. I think, really there needs to be allowance there. That's why I allow that. So just, think about what makes you comfortable. Make sure you feel drawn to that person. Don't just book on a whim straight away. Maybe sit with them a couple of days and go, yeah, I still feel drawn to that person. And you're going to have a much better reading that way. Yeah. So just some ideas to throw up here. And just, remember that what intention we put out there is often coming back. Sometimes other stuff is happening in life and it can be just, but just, allow for that ability in you to have some self-determination, even in your instincts, of listening to those instincts. Listen to your body, listen to your feelings. Am I getting good vibes here, or is everything tensing up and I feel really uncomfortable? If everything's tensing up and it's uncomfortable, most readers are going to go, look, how about we end this? It's really important not to get cranky at them if they do. All right, because everyone's got the right. You've got the right to leave. They've got the right to end the session. So just some ideas here about if you're a brand new reader, it's okay to say no. If you're a new client, same thing. Hope this has been helpful to you today. I'm going to catch you next week on A1R Psychic Radio and Moonstruck TV. In the meantime, stay tuned for more shows. Bye.